It's the best song in the world right there. Tim, what's up? How you doing, man?
Howdy. Doing really good. Happy Wednesday to all. It's Clemson week. Let's get ready to see what this Irish does against the top five foe here, right?
Yep. All right. Well, yeah. It's Pod Like a Champion for you podcast folks, Notre Dame football show for YouTube. Um, Lots to talk about. Notre Dame Clemson week. Clemson was what, number 4? Is that right, Tim? Number 4
Number
in the.
four. Yep. Very
It's
deserving.
a huge clash between Notre Dame 5-3 Notre Dame squad versus an undefeated Clemson squad. 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, and you can find the game on NBC. Tons to preview and discuss about this game, and we also have a special guest somewhere. Robert, yep, we got you, bro. We're talking about your tweet you sent me a couple weeks ago, so we got you.
Oh,
Yeah, we got a special guest about halfway through the show. Notre Dame class of 2024 wide receiver commit Cam Williams will be joining us. Williams, his team lost in the first round of its playoffs, but he had an outstanding year and was bumped from, a player outside the top 100 to on threes rankings, has him as the number 20 overall player and the number 5 receiver in the country. So I'm a big time recruit committed to Notre Dame. So lots to discuss. Please do hit the thumbs up if you're watching with us live or watching back. And if you're listening via podcast and you like our show, please do leave us a kind rating and review. Tim, that was on Sunday. That was your first Goolsby show appearance. I know you've done a couple shows with him before. What'd you think? I mean, I had a great time. I just kind of got to sit back, look at my phone. How was your time?
no, yeah. Me and Mike, we did a few shows obviously when Kelly left and Marcus Freeman got hired. Those were some fun long shows we did back then. That was good. I think we did one for like 2 hours and you had to kick us off. And no, it was awesome. We did 90 minutes. It was great to talk some Notre Dame football. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. Mike and I were texting today, just talking about some defensive stuff together. We had so we just, we love chatting about Notre Dame football. And I think he likes that I like chatting about it all the time. So bringing the old captain out in him and talking football, I know he's excited. I know he's going to be there this Saturday. He's really, really excited to sit up there with one of his clients and watch Notre Dame Clemson go toe to toe. So no, it was awesome talking to Goolsby, interacting with the fans. And I know a lot of people enjoyed it. So I would love to do another one after the season and do a onward to 2023 show. How's that?
Yeah, absolutely. We always talk about / joke with Goolsby about like sayings that we need to put on a shirt, like let your hair hang, or let your sack hang a little bit. Dare I say? Sorry for the PG-13 language, but I think one of them for the Tim Hyde angle is love chit chatting. Tim Hyde loves saying the word chit chat. So yeah, we got to find that
I love
for
it.
that exact phrase to put on a t-shirt. But
Well, that's what it is. It's funny because I do say that because, I know you and I, Mike, when we first met, when we started this, it was always just two dudes talking Notre Dame football, chit chatting with everyone, enjoying life. And it's awesome. There's
some
nothing better.
sometimes you can enjoy this. Sometimes it's not as fun, but for sure. All right. Well, let's start with the our best of the week segment, and I don't have yours pulled up. But I'm sure I can find it real quick. So why don't you tell us what yours is, Mr. Hyde?
Well, my best of the week was seeing a tweet PFF Pro Football Focus put out.
Excellent.
Even I saw Notre Dame, the official webpage Twitter feed went out, Mike, a little video of Joe Alt. I just love seeing this. I think he's been we have talked so much about a billion things, I feel like, this football season, and we forget about probably a guy who's right now would be a second team All-American. I think first team is Paris Johnson, Ohio State, and the Northwestern tackler are just studs. Going to be top 10 draft picks. But Joe Alt's right there. And grading-wise, he's better than them this year, so which is awesome to see. I just love seeing that with Joe. I think he's had a heck of a year, and he's so consistent. I mean, seriously, when you watch him, just his consistency. I mentioned when he, as he started playing last year and even early this year, he reminds me of a ton of first-round draft choice in the 90s, Luke Pettigo, who was a first-round draft pick for the Giants, played many years with the Giants. just a sturdy, quiet left tackle. Played, for Notre Dame back in the Bob Davie years. Outstanding football player back then. He really reminds me of him. Great technician. He's quiet like Zach Martin. I mean, there's times you didn't even notice Zach Martin. He's just out there dominating, and then he goes and wins the bowl game MVP. Joe Alt has that type of ability. So he's had a really good year. And on top of that, with his games now where he's at, starting to look at Blake Fisher. Blake Fisher just hit that Joe Alt freshman, threshold, so to speak, in games played.
Sure.
So, Blake Fisher is now where he's at, is where Joe Alt was at last year. He's caught up to him, and his play the last couple of weeks have been outstanding. And we've said it a million times, the bookend tackles, they're both sophomores, and these guys are really, really good football players. When they're on. Alt's got that experience. Fisher's catching up. I mean, you're looking at 2 All-Americans next year as juniors, I feel.
All right, for me, I was going to go with John Sott, Notre Dame punter, kind of getting some honors, but
Nice.
yeah, I figure that's not the sexiest topic to discuss. So I'm going right back to what I just said a few minutes ago. My best thing is Cam Williams joining the show.
I
So
love it.
stay tuned to that. About 25 minutes from now, we'll be talking with Notre Dame class of 2024 wide receiver commit Cam Williams about why he picked Notre Dame, the committed life, that Notre Dame degree and the importance to him of that. Lots of good stuff. So make sure you tune in for that. But all right, Tim. So let's talk
I got
Notre
one more,
Dame.
Mike.
Yep, please go ahead.
Real quick, one more. Kudos this Saturday, Michael Mayer. He's basically the all-time leader in everything when it comes to tight ends at Notre Dame. So obviously they throw the ball a little bit more today than they did during those Holtz years and whatnot. But for him to be where he's at, to pass Ken McAfee, who is a college Hall of Famer, kudos to Michael Mayer. Looking for him to finishing out this career, and he's the record holder in every category now. So he's a stud, and we've been saying that all year long. So congrats to Mayer, and let's go have a great Clemson game for him.
All right, yeah, let's dive into that Clemson game. Spread opened up at about 4 points in favor of Clemson. That's dropped down to 3.5. I know,
Wow.
big drop. For a top 5 team going on the road, and it's about a field goal, which Notre Dame gets 3 points because they're at home. So Vegas is saying if this was on a neutral field, it's basically a pick 'em, which I find very interesting. Maybe Notre Dame is better than that 5-3 record. So Tim, how you feeling about this game right now?
I guess I feel the opposite. I'm stunned. I'll be honest with you. It's only a 3-point game right now. This Clemson team's really good. And I don't know, I've been chatting like crazy with guys on the message board, just seeing the social media, obviously it's a big game. It's a hype and whatnot, but I'm getting the feeling that people think this is 2020 and it's not. This is not the 2020 Notre Dame. This is not Florida State Notre Dame 93. The other iconic game that they've had there, or there's been so many games. It's even the Bush Push game. That was 1 versus I think Notre Dame was 5 when they played that game, or 9. One of those two, I forget. Obviously SC was number 1, longest winning streak in the country, but this Clemson team is good. And I don't know why they're 8-0. People love to say, one of my favorite sayings lately, and this has been going on for a while, is, well, this Clemson team's not that good. Because, if you're comparing them to Deshaun Watson's title team, Trevor Lawrence's title team, they're not that good because those guys had freaks at quarterback. Everywhere else, Clemson is really good. The numbers don't lie. They've gotten better each and every game, I feel, this year. And they got good football players all over the place. And, when you look at a game like this, you start to, outside of Mayer and a couple offensive linemen, I hate to be negative, Mike, but who's starting on Clemson from Notre Dame's football team? And I'm just trying to be honest when looking at this game. This Clemson team is really, really good. They haven't, I know some of their stats are skewed because of the monster game against Florida State, but they're holding teams under 4 yards a carry in every game but 2. Barely anyone completes 5.5 yards a pass outside of 2 games I saw. So, and those were early. They're a good football team. And I think people need to take that into account as they get ready for this game on Saturday night.
So in terms of how many Notre Dame players started Clemson team, you could probably spin that around and talk same thing with Marshall and Stanford though,
Oh,
right?
I agree. I agree.
Uh,
I
So
agree. So let me spin this around. And who out there really thinks Dabo Sweeney's not going to bring an 8-0 team into South Bend, Indiana, and not play sky high, emotional, hard hitting, fast, furious football? They're they're not coming in. They will not. If anyone thinks they're going to play down to a 5-3 Notre Dame and just think this is a cakewalk, that's not who Clemson is. That's not the program they are.
okay. What scares you the most about Clemson right now?
Oh man, their skill. I mean, you got to talk about their skill. I keep going back. To last week's game with the Syracuse game. Let's talk about that real quick. I know Notre Dame won and everyone's all, hyped up and crazy, but Syracuse quarterback it's like, why did he even play? The guy couldn't even throw or run in the first half. And that's who that quarterback's been all year long. He was so banged up, so beat up. He had 16 carries the week before against Clemson. So obviously that defense knocked him around. He was beat up. Dino Babers even talked about that. They play the backup the second half and they had dudes open. I don't think anyone could see. I mean, they had some guys open, right? They had some guys drop some deep balls. That's what scares me is does Clemson, do they beat Cam Hart? Morrison got beat a couple times. That's what scares me is the big playability that they have. Are they the 2018? Do they have the stud pallet slot in 2020? Do they have those guys? They're not the burners, but each and every one of these guys, Mike, I'm going over recruiting rankings. When you look at all their skill, the linebackers, the D line, everybody's a top 100 recruit that starts for this team outside of the offensive line. They are loaded with football players.
Yeah. We had a comment, I could just see the YouTube comments after this and people listening via podcasting go, wow, that Mike
Sure.
Singer guy's a real dummy. Thank you, Eero 520 for pointing out that it would be I got it backwards. Yeah, it would be 6.5 on a neutral field and not the opposite. So very wrong there. Sorry about that, guys. So yes, if it were neutral field, they're saying Clemson's about a touchdown better. So apologize for that. My point there was
And that's
completely
I
wrong.
would say that if they're on a neutral field, this was a bowl game, I would definitely say Clemson. I would give them a touchdown favorite without a doubt. And the skill, one thing real quick on Clemson, I know they've given up some passes at times, young in the back end. Their linebackers are fast as could be, but Mike, they have over 40 pass breakups in 8 games. 40. They're around the ball. They're tipping things, breaking things up. 40 pass breaks up as a team. Notre Dame, I think it was, I got it right here, 14. Notre Dame's got 14 pass breakups in comparison. Sacks are equal. Clemson's 22, Notre Dame's 24, so that's a wash right there. But the ability to make plays on the ball, that Clemson back 7, I mean, that jumped out when I started doing some stats, how dynamic they are. And then DJ is going to be talked about a ton, their quarterback. But you know what? He does pass the ball around. They got 5 guys with nearly 20 or more catches, looking at their stats. So he has passed the ball. He has spread it around quite a bit. So it's a good football team. They're not going to blow you out 49 to 10 like they did with Lawrence and obviously Deshaun Watson. But man, they're tough to beat, especially this year.
Yeah, DJ. Oh man, Uyunglele. I haven't tried to say that one in a while. 150 for 234 in his completions attempts, 1,803 yards, 17 touchdowns, 4 picks.
Yeah.
He's been sacked 12 times in what is that, 8 games? What do you make from him? I know last year was look, his freshman season when he started that game against Notre Dame, absolutely tore up the Notre Dame defense. And you would going into his season last year expect, okay, it's Trevor Lawrence, and it's just natural progression to DJ where he's going to be, one of the next great quarterbacks in college football. Struggled last year, but just looking at these stats, Tim, seems like he's done a pretty good job this year. I know, Cade Klubnik, the freshman, a lot of people are excited about him down there in Clemson, South Carolina. But what do you make about this quarterback situation with the Tigers?
He's actually been solid all game except for the mistake field in Syracuse. Like Dabo talked about in his press conference yesterday, they only had a couple turnovers in 7 games this year. I think they had 4 in 7 games, and then they have 4 against Syracuse. So he was like, we laid an egg. We put the ball on the ground a bunch. DJ did. And that's what kept Syracuse in the game. The fumble they had inside the 5 on the zone read. He I don't even know why he kept the darn thing. 2 guys are out there going to hit him, give it and go. But yeah, he had one bad game. I watched a little bit of his press conference on Monday. The players and coordinators do their conferences on Mondays. Just watching a little bit. He's a confident guy. He played for St. John Bosco, one of the premier programs in America. What was he, a 3-year starter there? He's a stud. He's been in big games. Maybe one of the best high school games I ever saw outside of the De La Salle Poly game and the legendary game 20 plus years ago was when DJ came back and beat Bryce Young in the CIF championship game when they upset Mater Dei, who was just freakish that year, and a heck of a ball game from DJ when he beat Bryce Young. So he's used to these games. He's used to that competition. He's had one bad half. Overall, he's pretty solid. And when you watch him, he'll run. He's lost 20, 25 pounds.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit thinner than last year. And even Dabo talked about that. He was big last year because he thought he had to pack on the weight to run QB ISOs, and he didn't. And he really struggled last year as the team struggled. But they're also a little young last year.
Yeah.
And they still won 10 games.
Yeah. Yeah, 10-3. Yeah, it's
exactly. A horrible year at Clemson. They go 10-3, and everyone's like they're down.
So let's talk about his stats from last season: 9 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Well, he's completing a lot more passes than last year. Yep. I mean, the touchdown interception ratio looks good. And then I even when I had on there on the screen a couple moments ago their schedule, you could see he is the leading rusher in a couple games. So he's even running the ball a little bit. Super chat here from Tyler said we need heavy rain and winds to slow down their passing. I mean, it's not like Clemson's that much better that Notre Dame needs, the earth to help them out, right, Tim?
No, that's a great point, Mike. Exactly. This is not. I mean, that 2018 team that Notre Dame played in the playoff game was just like those were just grown men out there. I mean, they were just all over the place on that football field for Clemson that day, and that was 30-3. It was a competitive game. Julian Love goes down, and then boom, they beat the backup corner, back-to-back touchdowns, and they just had no momentum after that, and Clemson just dominated the rest of the way. But running backs comparable. Travis Etienne to Will Shipley, 2 great tailbacks, one in the same. Defensive line, I knew they were nationally ranked. 4 out of their top 5 linemen are ranked in the top 10 in the nation. National rankings, not position rankings, national, that are playing up front. Their lowest ranked guy is Davis, who's probably their best interior player, and he was 150. So some really good football players. And lastly, let's don't forget, I mean, this, Dabo Swinney's been there a long time. So this culture, this program, they are ingrained. They know what they're doing. They don't fear anybody. They're going to show up and they're going to play. And I think that's where, I know upsets happen. Believe me, they happen each and every week. Can Notre Dame pull this upset? Of course they can. Run the ball, control it. Clemson, a couple turnovers. But going back to the rain and all that, telling you don't want high winds and rain because Notre Dame is going to have to throw the football in this game. They're not going to line up, run it 55 times for 250. If they do, me and Mike are going to be celebrating like crazy on Saturday night. But I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, it's one of the – I remember like in the 2019 and 2020, I mean, fairly routine, a lot of routine wins, some of these seasons, just not – even last year, just not a lot of excitement. This year, Tim, it's been very good for business because we're in the business of exciting draws you guys in. If Notre Dame is just shellacking everybody or getting shellacked, it's not as interesting. But, some of these games, man, it's interesting. It's fun. And this Clemson game, no matter what the result is, it's going to be a big post-game show. So make sure you join us for that. Also, Thursday, Marcus Freeman press conference will have the Notre Dame only allows us to post 3 minutes, and sometimes I post a little over 3 minutes because I kind of have to. I'm not going to cut off Marcus Freeman in the middle of his statement that he's given. So we get 3 minutes of that. So we'll have the kind of the main highlights from the presser. We'll have that video as well as Tyler Horka giving his reaction. Friday we'll have final thoughts, observation, and prediction with Tim Hyde before Notre Dame Clemson. So make sure you check all of it out. And then we're going to hear quickly from our sponsor, Rogue Shop, which is a husband and wife outfit, as Mr. Rogue and his wife Shar are craft cannabis farmers who specialize in small batch, sustainable plant medicine, a true holistic type of small business. They farm it and grow it all themselves and do everything by hand. Their website to visit is rogueshop.com. Use promo code blue and gold, which will get you 10% off any of their products. Products for euphoria, but so much more, folks. Products that have been known to help with anything from stress to anxiety to chronic pain and insomnia. If you have a question about what a product does, you can jump on a live chat with the owners of the website and they will steer you in the right direction. I'd never used any of this product before, but when they sent me a little care package, left me a lot of information and very accessible people. And their goal is holistic healing, making your life better if you suffer from any of those things I talked about before: stress, insomnia, reducing inflammation, anxiety, and mood disorders. Also topicals that are great for pain in specific areas. Check it out, rogueshop.com, promo code blue and gold for 10% off. All right, Mr. Hyde, continuing our discussion on Notre Dame Clemson. And folks, if you're just with us live, you can drop a super chat at any point, and we will get to your question as soon as we can. And please do hit that thumbs up on the video. We're trying to beat the YouTube algorithm. We want YouTube to like us. So subscribe and hit the thumbs up. It really does help. So
Mike,
go ahead, Tim.
no, I was going to say, just reading some of the comments and whatnot, and people are just, talking about if Notre Dame pulls the upset and, what's going to be said about Notre Dame and whatnot. It's like, folks, they're unranked. Okay. They're 5-3. This will be an upset. So Notre Dame coming into this game, and if they win this game, this is an upset. Texas A&M beat number 1 Alabama last year when A&M was unranked. That was an upset. So you have Clemson, who, if they handle Notre Dame, they have no one the rest of the year. They're going to the playoffs unless they, unless they get upset by North Carolina in the championship game if UNC goes there. So this will be a massive upset. On top of that, for the history books on blue and gold, the writers have been mentioning, Todd Burlidge and Patrick Engel in an article today, their last win against a top 5 program, win unranked, was 1982 when they upset number 1 Pitt. I even went back, pulled out some of the old archives there. The last time Notre Dame beat anyone in the top 10 was when they were unranked, was 2004, when our good friend Mike Goolsby led the upset over Michigan that day in South Bend, the big Darius Walker coming out party in 2004. So there hasn't been a lot, but there has been some periods in Notre Dame with many head coaches where they have played top 10 teams and gotten their doors blown off when they're unranked. So this will be an upset. And if people are saying, oh, Notre Dame can win this game, they're going toe to toe, sure, they can win this game, but this will be an upset. And I think, and that will be an awesome, awesome victory for the history books of Notre Dame if they pull out this win.
So, Tim, what area of what can Notre Dame do to exploit Clemson? Like, is there anywhere that Notre Dame has an advantage, in your opinion?
Not so much the advantage is, God, I don't want to jinx it, Mike. Seriously. Do you really?
Are you about to say the D-line? Are you saying
I'm not going to say it, Mike.
Just blink once if it's that.
But yeah, I mean, Clemson, obviously Clemson doesn't have the offensive line that Notre Dame has. Their D-line, I love Riley Mills. Riley Mills has played outstanding. I mean, that poor guy gets held 15 times a game. It's like he just keeps fighting. Notre Dame D-line, that's what won in 2020 now. That home game, they just stuffed the run with Heinisch and those MTA and those guys up front. They played their tails off. Dalen Hayes on the edge. And, man, they played so hard and so physical in that 2020 game. Notre Dame could do the same thing up front. Obviously Notre Dame's strength is the running game, which goes right into the the front seven for Clemson is athletic. I mean, they're better than Ohio State up front, and we saw what Ohio State did. But this O-line is gelling. This O-line is vastly improved since those first two games. And Patrick put it in an article today, and I've been talking about the last few weeks. Those first two games, they were ranked 101 in rushing offense. They're now in the top 40. And they're in the 30s now in rushing offense. So this group has been together these last 6 games, keep getting better. Outstanding football players led by Alton Patterson on the left side. So, if they come to play and this O-line takes care of business and just takes over the football game, because they definitely can, then that's where the game's going to be won. You got to protect. Protecting Pine means controlling the clock, moving the sticks, so Pine doesn't have to go, 4 wides and chuck it 45 times in this game, because it will be a blowout if that happens.
So at the start of each show, after our little banter, we do our best of the week. And Tim's was talking about Joe Alt, Michael Mayer. That's nice. But mine was the interview that's about to happen. This is the best thing for me this week, getting to have Cam Williams on our show, and he's here. So let's go ahead and bring him on, Cam Williams, and the beautiful head of hair, man. I mean, it's fantastic. Cam, how you doing today, man?
Thank you, by the way, and I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, man,
how are both of you?
Doing really good, Cam. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah. So I first want to start with this beautiful ranking. I kind of leaked you the news, if you remember that night. I was like, yo, Cam, man, you're going to see a nice graphic tomorrow where you're going to be ranked, number 20 overall player, number 5 wide receiver. Did it feel good that, hey, put in a ton of work? I mean, rankings aren't everything, but I'm sure you still like to see that bump.
Yeah, I still never really take rankings as a huge thing, but it's still nice to see that I'm kind of getting the respect that I think I deserve. Because I know how good I am, so it's good to see that come into play, especially on the rankings. So
I'm gonna pull up your junior season stats. Now, you guys lost in the first round of the playoffs, so that's tough. But
yeah, that wasn't so fun. But
I'm missing one game. I'll have to go back and check it. But so all of your games except for one, which is what I think nine games I have, maybe 8.
Yeah.
44 receptions, 882 yards, 13 touchdowns, plus 13 rushes, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Man, tell me about your junior season.
It was electric, that's for sure. We have a very dynamic offense, and I think our entire offense this year was just kind of centered on how we have athletes all over our receiving core and running backs, even our quarterback. But our main focus was just how we can kind of move me around in different spots and use me different ways, because teams from last year now know kind of who I was as a player, and they kind of knew just a single coverage wasn't really gonna do it. So there's a lot of bracketing and all that annoying stuff that I had to see every Friday. So there was just those were just all ways you kind of moved me around and got me to score. So
Cam's recruiting story is one of my favorites that I've ever covered, and I've been doing this since Cam was in like 7 years old, is that he grew up a Michigan fan. Plenty of Michigan fans in this man's family, and Michigan was considered the early leader, and then got that Notre Dame offer and just fell in love. I remember you telling me that you didn't expect to love Notre Dame as much as you did, but you went on campus, you balled out at Irish Invasion, which I'm going to play that video too. I hope it's not too choppy for folks watching on YouTube, but can you kind of expand on that a little bit, Cam?
Like you said with that, one of the closest people in my life being my grandfather, who's my biggest influence. He's believe it or not, he's a Notre Dame hater. He likes him a little more now, but I kind of just took after him, as I said, he's my biggest influence. But this is the one of those few times I had to go against him, and I was like, you're just gonna have to love it. It doesn't matter. He said, and he's told me, he's that's fine, but I'm only wearing any sort of jersey or shirt if it has your name on it. If it doesn't, then forget that. So we've tried buying him stuff, but he's it doesn't have my name on it. So he's I'm not gonna wear it. I'm like,
That's
all right,
awesome.
that works.
That's awesome.
That's fine.
Tim, you got a question for Cam?
Well, no, it's funny, Cam. I'm the complete opposite of your grandfather. My grandfather was my hero, my idol. He was unbelievable. I grew up a big Notre Dame fan because of my grandfather. So mine's the opposite of yours there.
Yeah.
But yeah, grandfathers are awesome, man. They love their
No, they
college
are.
football.
He's
But when watching
great
this
dude.
film and and hearing you talk right now, my big question is, who's your influence? Who do you watch when you're hanging out on the weekends and you're on your iPad or your iPhone and you just start like, man, I want to watch so and so? Who do you pattern your game after you? And who do you study to be like, that's going to be me in 7 years from now,
I
so to
think the
speak?
dudes that I watched the most from the start has definitely been DK Metcalf. That's for sure.
Gotcha.
That dude's a little animal on the field. And then I've started kind of more so the fundamental aspect. I've been watching a lot of Stephon Diggs and how he kind of plays, because that dude's, yeah, I'd always see his videos on social media of him, putting in the work and, working on his craft. And I was like, and it's showing every time he plays. So kind of those two guys, I think, are the two main ones I kind of watch.
Yeah,
Or like,
I was looking on your Instagram, and I think you had posted Stephon Diggs, an IG reel or something of him. So when Tim told me he was going to ask you that question, I was like, I hope Stephon Diggs pops up. Is there a receiver that you're not saying you're as good as him or anything like that right now, but someone in the NFL that you kind of think your game resembles the most right now? So just so maybe some fans who haven't seen you as much might get an idea of what Notre Dame's getting.
That's a good one. Well, if you were to watch me play, people guard me like they think I'm Calvin Johnson or something. I'm not. But who I think, I don't really know. I was used so weirdly this year. I don't know. I could, like I said, I try to resemble my game off of the dudes I named.
Yeah.
Kind of just those guys who go and get the ball. People like that.
Tim?
Mike, I have a follow-up off of that. So, Cam, have you gone back and has Coach Stuckey sent you his highlights for you to break down his highlight films back in the day at Clemson?
No, but I have watched them. And
good to go.
He was actually kind of nice with it. So
Yeah.
Diving catches and stuff on his highlight reel.
Oh yeah, he was good.
Oh yeah, but no, he hasn't. He's never really mentioned it to me. Maybe I'll bring it up with him. And
So
love it.
See what he tells me.
So Cam committed to Notre Dame at the end of June. It's been a few months. I'm sure September 1st was crazy. All these coaches hit you up, even though you're committed to Notre Dame. Just how's that committed life been treating you? And just how's everything, been with the Notre Dame commitment lately?
Well, one, it was really nice from the time it happened till September 1st, because nobody was telling my coach to tell Cam to call them. But now that September 1st is around, and I'm officially a junior I became officially a junior in terms of like the recruiting road. It almost feels like not like how it was before with coaches like always grabbing at you, but they still do. And I mean I know why I picked where I picked, so there's really for me no reason to entertain the idea of the other coaches texting. So I think now it kind of gives me more of a reason to be able to like be away from that. Be able to focus on like one thing.
You going to Notre Dame this weekend for the Clemson game?
Yeah.
I think all of the 2024 class for your commits is going.
Hacked. Jeez.
Just tell me about like the 2024 class, the excitement that you guys have. It's a strong group already, and you got to talk about your boy CJ Carr as well.
Yeah. I was about to say, I think it kind of all starts with CJ. Like you get a quarterback off the bat, and it's like all the other pieces just are kind of falling. And I'm pretty sure fans kind of knew that, because you see CJ, he's always recruiting. Like the dude made a sweatshirt with what's his
St. Louis guys, yeah,
with all of them on a sweatshirt. So people just get excited by him, and then of course, for example, players like me also get excited by that, and then he's a dude that you kind of want to be around. So then that just brings guys in, and like I said, we Jack committed, and then we got a couple offensive linemen. We got Brandon, and it's like I know they're just going to keep coming, because I know see it is on people's heads like it was in mine, and I'm trying to do the same. So I think our class would definitely be something really special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Strong.
We had one question here from our YouTube audience. David asked, when you as a recruit see Notre Dame falter a bit, like on this, 5-3 is not the worst thing ever, but certainly Notre Dame standards. I mean, they've been winning 10 games every season since 2016, or 2017, I should say. Does it make an impact for you at all, like seeing the Irish lose, or is it more of a thing like, okay, I can make a bigger impact, when I get there, maybe they need me more?
That was definitely a popular question. I think just with people asking questions like you did, or my peers, kind of just asking like, does this like do anything? And I just tell them, I mean, next year we have one of the top classes coming in the country, and my class is going to do the same. And I'm confident as a trend, the class behind us is also going to be the same way. So I just tell them it's really just like a rebuilding process, and you got a new staff in there. When you put that staff with the kids that they're recruiting, which is us, together, that's I think that's when those wins are going to start, to go back up to that 9-10 plus range, and hopefully our main goal is just to get to and win the national championship. So like I said, I think it's just a process.
Tim, you had one more thing to ask Cam?
Yeah, no, first off, I love what you're saying there. Or trusting the process, trusting Coach Freeman. It's guy's only been there for 8 games. It's like he's going to build it with obviously, players such as yourself, which is exciting. But obviously, you're excited, listen to you talk about, players you pattern yourself off of. You know who you're playing game 1, right? When you arrive at A&M. So I know you're going to be excited for that.
Oh wow.
Your future. What's that?
It's at A&M. I didn't even know that.
At A&M 2024. Well, welcome to Notre Dame. So that's going to be
go.
a fun game 1. But you always hear Coach Freeman, always talk about, the 4 for 40 life after Notre Dame, using what Notre Dame is going to offer you. So have you thought about, what do you want to do with that Notre Dame degree, which is, it's priceless out there in the world, as you know.
Yeah.
And, what do you want to do down the road? Once you're done, you hang up your cleats.
Obviously, not everybody can play at the next level. And, by chance that I just happen to be one of those people, I think I'd still want to stay in the sports world. Kind of like the business aspect side of sports, something along there. And yeah, like you said, I mean, since I first started my kind of stronger recruitment with Notre Dame earlier this year, the biggest thing they stressed was, that degree.
Yeah.
And I knew it was a good school, but I never really understood what it did for you until I talked to some alumni, and again the coaches. So yeah, I think that's definitely one thing I just want to do: stay in sports, but probably in that business side of things.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Cam, I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again. That's Cam Williams, number 20 overall player per on 3, number 5 wide receiver, and number 1 in the country for hair. You're definitely, you got that top spot. But
it's kind of a mess right now. I had a hood on and I was asleep, so
we'll allow it. Cam, appreciate your time, man. You have a good one.
All right, thank you.
Enjoy the weekend.
You too.
Awesome kid, huh?
Oh yeah, no, that was awesome. I mean, it just shows the type of guys that Freeman is bringing in. And I know we've talked a ton. It's like 8 games. This guy's got this 2023 class. What are they up to? Number 3, Mike, right? In the 2023 recruit in 2024. As you just mentioned and Cam just mentioned, all the commits are all going to be there this weekend, and it's an unbelievable group right there with those guys, and more coming. And some of the 2024 guys that you keep writing about and talking about is electric, and it's about compounding classes on top of classes. And there's some really good footballs coming, and Cam Williams is definitely one of those guys.
Yeah. Fantastic player. Exactly the type of talent that Notre Dame continues to add in recruiting. Let's go back to the Clemson Notre Dame talk. Did we finish your thought on things that Notre Dame can do to kind of exploit to Clemson? Do you think we finished that topic, Tim? I'm having a hard time remembering.
No, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we chatted enough. I mean, you can sit here and talk for hours about it. It's going to come down to the O-line controlling the clock, killing the clock, and what Drew Pine are we going to get, Mike? I know we haven't spent a lot of time, nor do we want to just keep pounding that home. But first 7 games, 70%. First 3 games, 70. The last 3 games, 50%. Where's Pine going to be? What's Reese going to dial up? Because you can take shots. Teams have proven you can throw and hit some big plays on these guys. So, Notre Dame has gotten guys open a lot this year. They've got to connect. And it's right there. It's right there. It's at home. The atmosphere at Cam Williams, all these recruits, the fans are hyped up. A lot of people believe. Dabo talked about it, how, these guys are 5-1 since they've got rolling. And he really talked about, you don't even count those first 2 games. And, he talked about they got a brand new quarterback and he sees the differences in this team. So they keep playing with that confidence and that emotion. Anything could happen. And they just win by one. And it's an upset that hasn't happened in a long time at Notre Dame.
Yeah. So let's stick on a little bit of a recruiting topic after having Cam Williams join our show. We had a question come in on Twitter a couple weeks back. Robert says, in terms of skill players, what is the last class that had this much talent in a single class? So it was on last week's schedule, but someone dropped the ball and forgot to. It's usually me dropping the ball and forgetting, but yeah, in terms of offensive skill talent in this, just offense. If we talk about the secondary, I mean Notre Dame's defensive backfield's fantastic, but when you look at Jeremiah Love, Braylon James, Jaden Greathouse, Dylan Edwards, Rico Flores, Cooper Flanagan. The 3 running backs are all absolute speedsters. Jay Lamar's ran a 4.53 at a camp. I want to say it was earlier this year, maybe it was last year. Dylan Edwards won the fastest man challenge at the Future 50 camp over the summer. And he and Jeremiah Love were clocked by the UC report. I don't know how they figure out miles per hour based on these watching film. I don't know. But the UC report clocked them both over running 20 miles per hour. So you got fantastic speedsters coming in. The receiver class between Greathouse, Flores, and James is darn good. You got a tight end and Cooper Flanagan, who I still think Nick Saban's really wanting on after months of trying to beat down that door, and it's not that door has been opened. So yeah, that question of when's the last time Notre Dame signed this good a skill talent. So do you want to start first, Tim, just briefly on your thoughts on this offense class?
Oh yeah, I mean we've talked plenty about it. It's you keep these guys together. It's like where are you going to play some of these guys? Even special teams. They're going to they're going to arm wrestle to see who's going to be returning kicks and punts. It is a explosive group. I mean, you can't even say that word enough when you're looking at just the running backs. The wide receivers are needed, and they're bringing in guys that could play. They're all playmakers at their schools. They're all big time passing schools where they're getting from, especially Greathouse and Rico Flores out of Folsom, California. I mean, you got some dudes that could come in and play. Flanagan, looks like another Brock Wright, Cole Kmet, Troy Nicholas type of tight end, big, strong, physical point of attack, who's going to play outstanding football there in the seams, running routes. So that, as a group, I mean, you got 3 backs, 3 receivers, and a tight end. That's 7 dudes that are bringing a dynamic skill set, but athleticism that is badly needed for this football team. So it's been a long time, as the questioner was asking, when Notre Dame's brought in a group like this, and man, when it's all said and done, I mean, this is going to rival maybe some of the best, the Charlie Weiss couple classes that he brought in. Those guys went to the NFL, so I mean, there hasn't been a group like this since then.
Shift back to Clemson Notre Dame real quick. So we had a super chat earlier. JP, sorry about the delay and us getting to this. He says, run the damn ball, run to win, game score. He's picking Notre Dame by 3. We're going to have to save our game scores for our Friday video, because that's really the draw for that Friday video, is seeing how Tim Hyde comes up with score prediction, because it's always fun. But it seems you are leaning towards picking Clemson, and I'm still on the fence.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a crazy upset. So we're I I just want to see a heck of a ball game. I want Notre Dame to win by one. I don't care if it's two safeties and hold Clemson to a field goal. Just I mean the scene just real the scene of them beating them night game to do it back to back night games. Going off of 2020 and this year would be just would be amazing because last time they visited they were number one. So it'd be awesome. And it is doable. So it is doable, but it will be a big upset. It will be a very, very big upset.
So going back to the recruiting discussion, and I honestly, Tim, I was dealing with some YouTube chat stuff, but is there a specific class that you think is on par with this 2023 school class?
When you're looking at all positions, man, I'm telling you, I got my notes here, Mike. Yeah, I mean, you got to go back to, I mean, 08, but you had Michael Floyd, who was ranked 25th. Kyle Rudolph was ranked 33rd, tight end. Deion Walker played a bunch. He was in the 140s, and Jonas Gray was in top 50.
Do we count quarterbacks and skill players?
Yeah, 2008, but they didn't have the numbers, obviously, the volume that this class has, but their top tier class. I mean, first round pick, second round pick, some guys, outstanding football players. 2007, you had, those Weiss classes, as I'm saying. Golden Tate, was the 44th best player in 07. Duval Camara, who set the freshman record Floyd broke, was in the 20s. Armando Allen, who played a ton for Notre Dame. Robert Hughes, they had two running backs in the top 90, which Notre Dame is the only time they've done that was with Folston and Greg Bryant in the 13 class. So, but looking over the Kelly years, Mike, the only wide receiver wise, the only ones I could really compare, because now, we have years and we have some NFL guys, is 2016. The top two were McKinley and Claypool, which was number 117, and Claypool, who's, in the NFL at 152. Kevin Stefferson, but he was in the 500. So you look at the top two, but they didn't have the running back. They didn't have a tight end. It was just those two, obviously two outstanding football players. And then one of my favorite groups is the 15 class. The 15 class, Mike, you have Alice A. Mack, who's still in the NFL, top 100. Dexter Williams at running back, top 100. And then you have two wide receivers that are in the NFL. St. Brown at 181 and Boykin at 203. But those guys don't match, Braylon James, Greathouse, his numbers. You got Jeremiah Love, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, my gosh, how many times have you seen Edwards score a touchdown this year? His film, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. It's like, that guy's got to end up in the top 100. His senior film,
who you talking about?
Edwards, the running back out of Kansas. Is it? But I know it's Kansas High School.
Kansas.
I know, but man, his film is like
he's literally running. How fast Dylan Edwards runs is almost breaking the law in a neighborhood.
I agree. I agree. So he posts his highlights or the Kansas, Twitter feeds when I see stuff on the weekends. It's just like how is this? You're right. How is this legal? he is so fast. But the answer to the question is they threw out some names and numbers, some great past Notre Dame football players.
I'm gonna pop on Dylan Edwards tape. We can watch some senior tape as you talk.
But this group as a whole, that Freeman, Stuckey, Reese, these guys have gone out and just an attack because they got to replenish this roster. I mean, you know that better than anyone with the recruiting, what's happened at the receiver room. These guys are going to have to come in and play. And with their speed and athleticism, it's like, how do they not? I mean, it's like, just just even that little 10, just catching 10 yards. Look at his legs.
Well, that was more than 10 yards. That was about.
But no, I'm saying just a scoot.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just a scoot when the ball's in his hands. I've seen some on field, like some Kansas reporters, local TV guys. I've seen on the field video where it's so fast. I mean, you can't even do it justice watching it this high up. It is. Look at this.
When I watch his film, I always look at the sidelines and the cheerleaders to see if they're jumping up really up and down fast, then it's like, okay, maybe the tape sped up a little bit, but no, that's not the case. They are jumping around and moving like normal. Dylan Edwards is just that fast. So
Look at
to
the
kind
cut.
of
Look at this
to
cut.
wrap this up a little bit, Tim, it seems like, well, first, it's impossible for us to say
yes,
which is better. I mean, how the heck are we supposed to know at this point?
I know.
If this is the best, all we can do is talk about it on paper. We can't say
Yes.
if it's going to be better than 2015 or 2008, whatever it is. So all we can just look at the recruiting rankings and kind of stack it up, and it does look like on paper,
yes,
this is the best in the
Yes.
recruiting era. Which I think Rivals started ranking kids in 2002, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, I went that far back looking at guys, all the way back to the Willingham years. And I mean, there hasn't been a class like this. The volume of numbers, the athleticism, the speed, the rankings justify it. James is 102, Love is 63. So you got two guys right there in the basically top 100. Greathouse has had a heck of a season for Texas, and he's going to keep going. And this Edwards film is crazy. And then you got a tight end who's probably, I feel, underrated. He's been dominant on defensive end. Some of the De La Salle film I've seen online this year. And like you're saying, Nick Saban wants him so bad. He's going to go out there during December when head coaches could hit the road. He's going to go to De La Salle and keep trying to arm wrestle him away, because he is an Alabama tight end. When you look at the Bama tight ends over the years, oh man, he's perfect for them. So it's a great class, Mike. It really is.
And Tim, year one. This is Marcus Freeman's first.
Year one, and real quick, Rico Flores. I know Mike Goolsby talked about him months ago when he committed, and how that was, Goolsby's favorite player was Rico. I remember that video where his route running, the precision, and I've been Folsom High. People is one of the premier high schools in the state, one of the premier public schools in the state of California. They are legit and produce D1 kids each and every year. So they are getting great football players out of big time schools. And you saw Jeremiah Love live. How athletic is he live?
It's a close battle between the for the Joe Alt Award this year between my favorite player in the class, quote unquote, or the player I think is going to be kind of the guy I'm putting my stamp of approval on. It's going to be close between Jeremiah Love. But see, this typically will go to an under the radar kind of guy. But he's really not that. He's ranked the third highest player in the class, number 63 overall, and 5 running back. It's him, or you got to go all the way down to little old Preston Zinter, who is having a darn good season in his own right. His coach texts me his stats each week, and they just keep getting better. Dude's like catching all these passes at tight end and also racking up a bunch of yards, they get a ton of tackles at linebacker, racking up yards at tight end. So really like Preston Zinter as a linebacker though. But yeah, going back to Love, big fan of his athleticism. Just he's a darn good football player.
Well, my fan club is going to be Vernon. I'm telling you, Mike, I've seen there's some, I follow, I don't follow, but I hunt down some of his film from Ohio preps and stuff like that. I'm telling you, man, I love this guy is my favorite. He is a maniac this year. He's a stud. So that's my guy. That's my Tim Hyde fan club. I have just fallen in love. I'm searching out his film on the weekends because he's a freak.
He's a special dude too.
Yes.
There's something about Vernon's a little bit of a throwback. He does not care about Twitter. He doesn't want to be on social media. No. He just wants to work. And
is he the Vans guy?
He's the Vans guy. Yeah.
Okay.
I've interviewed Brendan Vernon twice, and I think he picked up his offer in January of 2020 or something like that.
Wow.
So he was Notre Dame's first offer in this 23 class from Mike Elston. I think the Irish are still working on the 21 class, or if my timeline adds up. But yeah, so and then Notre Dame pulled up. Everyone thought he was going to Ohio State, pulled a big upset and got him in this class. And certainly a big hit for the Irish.
If he is not on the field game one in the 2 deep, I'll be stunned. I mean, his motor.
Do you think as a freshman?
Oh God, yeah. He's got to be a 2D. I'm telling you, his motor. That's what I see.
Yeah.
He gets off the ball like he's already playing college football. His relentless get off the ball takeoff is legit. He's already at a college level, and people go on YouTube, Twitter him, whatever, find his film. There's a bunch of senior highlights out there that just show clips, like you're saying. He doesn't post anything.
Right.
You got to hunt it down, and I hunt it down, and he is one special dude. I've just fallen in love with him during this football season, watching all of these guys' senior film, and his just pops off.
Yeah, going back to kind of he's a throwback. I remember this would have been summer 2021. He camped at Notre Dame. He did like a private workout with Mike Elston, who's of course the defensive line coach at the time. And he didn't need to. He could have committed to Notre Dame, and he didn't need to work. He just wanted to get better. Like he wanted to work with Elston. And I just remember hearing that Notre Dame thought that this kid's first round pick for sure. And he hadn't played it down as a junior in high school.
Wow.
Like, yeah, this kid's a first round player. Obviously, to be determined on if that happens, but ceiling is it's high.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talking about just real quick, last thing before we get out of here is Vernon, and we've gone completely off the beaten path on the original question about skill talent. Talking here about Brennan Vernon. I mean, when he committed to Notre Dame, I want to say he's probably like 245 to 255. He's beefed up. I mean, he's listed at 6'5", 280. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like 290. I think he's a disruptive nose. What do you think, Tim?
I think he's Riley Mills. He's Riley Mills. So is he going to be a 3-tech? Is he going to be a big end? He's very versatile.
I don't know if he's what's Mills at right now? How big do you think Mills is?
He 299. I mean, Riley Mills when he's out there. Oh my God! I've said it, I think every week on our live shows how many times that guy gets held. He is in the backfield with jersey shredding and never gets a call. He's a beast, man. And I think Vernon, when I watch Vernon, I see Riley Mills his takeoff, and I want to put him in a nose. I want a Kurt Heinrich, just some fire plug guy who's going to take 2 gappers. I want Vernon in that B gap, 1-on-1. I think he's going to end up being a B gap guy, just playing straight, just attack 1 gap. Don't make this guy think, and he will be in the 2 deep next year if they put him in the B gap and say go 100 miles an hour and cause havoc, because that is his game.
I don't know. I kind of like him as a good pass rushing nose.
Oh no, I hear you. I mean,
he can really play anywhere in there. He's a freak.
Yes. Yes. The senior film I saw blew me away, and I was like, yeah, he's legit.
Right.
Beyond.
There you
go. Beyond.
So lots of more recruiting talk this week than usual with Kane Williams. Fantastic guest. If you're just tuning in and you missed that discussion, please rewind about halfway through the show and check that out because it was a really good discussion with him. So for more Notre Dame Clemson talk, make sure you check out our videos the next couple days. We'll have Tyler Horka recapping Marcus Freeman's press conference from Thursday, and then Tim Hyde will do our final thoughts and prediction video post right at noon Eastern on Friday. So get the keys to the game, and myself and Tim will give our predictions. But until then, we are signing off. Appreciate everyone. Do hit that thumbs up before you get out of here. And, of course, go to blueandgold.com. It's just $10 to sign up for premium access, and that gets you access through the start of next football season. Again, blueandgold.com. Head over to Rogue Shop, folks. Punch in that promo code blueandgold and pick up some product there. And as always, folks, we'll catch you next time.